Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, January 27th. I skipped yesterday. Now, normally on a Tuesday, I'd be watching a movie. But something came up. I got off work yesterday to a message from Mom. See, my grandmother is at the point where she's able to be released from the hospital, but needs to be somewhere where there's someone that is able to provide at least a basic level of care full time. We can't do that. Her sister is in a similar situation, and her sister's son is able to do that. So my grandmother is moving to Tennessee to live with her sister, where there will be someone full-time for at least a basic level of care if needed. Which means my mom is having to move my grandmother out of her assisted living facility, or independent living facility rather, so she can move somewhere with assistance. And she needed help. So that was what my yesterday became, was I had to go and help her and Mike and Nicole and Kathy. My mom has people she was able to call, but I'm apparently one of them. So I went and did that. That was yesterday. And I'm glad it was at least yesterday rather than today, because I don't want to go outside today. Because today, I'm like, is it going to focus? But maybe it is, because it's all white outside anyways, because it snowed. It snowed a lot. Now, most likely at the point that I'm off work, the roads are cleared because the sidewalk is cleared. But it's definitely watching the snow falling all day today. So at least it wasn't that. However, that does mean it's like, I would normally have watched a movie on Tuesday. Do I watch a movie today on Wednesday? I want to watch the Dwarven Forge live stream today. Can I do both? I wasn't thinking I could. And then I got an opportunity. One of the things I love about my job is that when things are slow, they're like, hey, do you want to leave? Because we'd rather save our money. And I'm the kind of person that's like, yeah, I got enough to pay the bills. I will leave. That was all I needed for today. Thank you. Bye. So I got off about a little over an hour early. Not a huge amount of extra time, but should be enough for me to add a movie and hopefully still make the Dwarven Forge live stream. I'm thinking. I'm thinking, like, what do I want to watch? So many options. And one of the things is, like, I want to watch a movie that has a romance with a happy ending, where the couple gets together. Because I'm just, it's a bit of a stressfully emotional week, and I need that right now. And then I'm like, of the 3 movies I've watched, basically 2 of them were kind of musicals already, and I don't want to go through all my musicals at the beginning, because I want to be able to, as I continue, hopefully, to watch movies, have musicals to sprinkle throughout, because I love musicals. So, movie that's a romance that doesn't end with tragedy, because I also, in most situations, love a good tragic ending for a romance. But, and it's not a musical. I had a couple choices I was thinking about, but then I started editing my video for Monday, and I say that awkward phrase of I'm looking for a wife, which I hate that phrase. I use I'm looking for the woman to marry and spend my life with is the turn of phrase that I typically use, because that makes sense in my brain. When I say the phrase I'm looking for a wife, I think of Blast from the Past, which is a great movie and absolutely what I'm going to watch today. This is, how old is this? This is it's got to be 90s, because it feels so 90s. Heck, the cover on the box looks so 90s. 1999, yeah. So, I'm a settle in, just have a blast from the past. That was great. I would give Blast from the Past 8.7. I I love that movie. It is such a good movie. It's actually been a long time since I've watched it, but it's one I've watched many times, and I recall it. In fact, one of my greatest memories of the movie is actually not of the movie itself, but of my time in school. You see, I went to film school. And one of my memories is, we're hanging out in the hallway outside of class, my classmates, and just talking. And I'd probably at that point just recently rewatched it, and I mentioned about how it's one of my favorite films. To which one of my classmates was so offended by that statement that after a while of trying to convince me that I must be wrong, he then decided that he needed to go to an instructor and tell on me for liking this movie. To which the instructor promptly told him, "Get bent, people are allowed to have their own opinions and like the things that they like, just because one of my favorite movies is not a high-class artistic piece is a great feeling movie. It makes me feel so good. I love the story is about the Webbers, Mr. and Mrs. Webber, in what's it, 60s, I guess, early 60s probably. Living in their lovely little home, their lovely little neighborhood. And Mr. Webber's kind of an inventor, mad guy, kind of a little paranoid about communists. So he's got a fallout shelter in his basement. Mrs. Webber's pregnant at the time. And news comes up. They decide they need to spend a few days down in the shelter, let some political things blow over. And a plane crashes into their backyard. The heat sensors set off all of his alarms. He believes that the country has just been hit by a nuclear bomb. And so he locks the fallout shelter for 35 years. Adam Webber is born in a fallout shelter and spends the first 35 years of his life there. And then there's some antics with them going up, and they're in the valley of Los Angeles. I guess it'd be the San Fernando Valley. Which, by 35 years later, when they go on up, it's a bit different than the quaint little neighborhood they were. It's now the San Fernando Valley. But some things happen that Adam Webber, who has never seen the outside world, has to be the one to go up and restock supplies for them to continue. I mean, obviously, the people up there are mutated. The bomb has done far, far more damage than is imaginable. It's really terrible. They can't live up there, but they need to get supplies. So the story is of Adam Webber going up to try and get supplies for his family. And really the story is he meets Eve Rustikov, played by Alicia Silverstone, Adam Webber, Brandon Fraser, and it's their romance story. As he has no idea, he is totally fish out of water, no idea what's going on in the world, has the great, old-time values, and really is just a great guy. I love his character. But that also imparts a lot of innocence along with him, and ignorance to how things work. Eve knows how things work. Now also, because of a few of the collecting items, throughout most of the story, baseball cards, but by the end also some stocks, turns out Adam is basically rich. Money is not really a question or concern for him. So it's their story as she's helping him. She needs a job. So she's helping him with getting all the stuff that's needed, but of course he's trying not to just tell anyone that I live underneath an old malt shop, an adult bookstore down in the valley kind of thing. It's like, maybe not the thing to be broadcasting. But a number of antics with that endearing relationship, lots of comedy throughout, great interactions with the soda jerk, because the first building that was built on top of their fallout shelter after the house that was hit by an airplane was demolished was like a malt shop that evolved into like a bar. It's now kind of like a drug den, basically. But this guy there, who's really just lost, and kind of mistakes the Webbers for God, and starts his own little church that his malt shop happens to be sitting on the elevator to heaven. But it is hilarious and endearing, even with his character. It's just such a great feel. And as things, antics ensue, and throughout it, by the end, Adam and Eve get together, and it's sweet. And that's what I needed. I needed that happy story right now. I love that, and I love watching it, and that's one of the things I love about the movie. It's a happy romance story. You know, there's some struggles, but nothing that breaks me too much, and it works out in the end. It's a good movie. And after having as much fun as I did watching the movie, I went and I watched the Dwarven Forge live stream. No new spoilers for upcoming Kickstarters this evening, but still fun to hang out with them as they discuss plans, things their company's going to be doing in general. And now it's getting late. Pull things together for the evening and call it a night. I may have missed my normal day of the week to watch a movie, but, this shows I can do it on a different day. Man. See, part of me, as I watch some of these movies, a few of them now, part of me is, remembering how good that movie is, and so my brain's like, I want to watch that movie again. And I'm like, but I got all these other movies I need to watch. But I'm just like, no, I know that one's good. Just keep watching it. Blast from the Past is really good. Anyways, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for joining me. Join me as my journey continues.